I never imagined my daughter's pain could lead to a millionaire's life-changing promise. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. The sound of shattering glass echoed in my ears as my heart dropped. I rushed into the room, my panic swelling like a storm. There she was, curled on the floor, tears streaming down her face, hands trembling, her favorite glass figurine shattered at her feet. It wasn't the figurine that broke my heart. It was the look in her eyes, pure despair. Lisa was only 8, yet the world felt heavy on her small shoulders. Her laughter had faded, replaced by silent battles no one could see. The doctors called it anxiety, but what did they know? To me, it was a shadow that loomed over her, whispering lies and stealing her joy. I had fought for her every step of the way, nights spent holding her close, my arms wrapped around her with silent promises of protection. But that day, her little body shook with fear, the air thick with a suffocating silence. I dropped to my knees, wrapping my arms around her, feeling her heart beating wildly against my chest. "Mom, I'm scared," she sobbed, and my heart shattered with her. My sweet angel deserved a life free from terror, yet here we were, lost in a storm. As I held her, a thought sparked in my mind. What if this pain could lead somewhere? A million possibilities danced through my head, twisting and turning like a whirlwind. I had read stories of those who found fortune in the unlikeliest places. Could this moment of sadness, this unbearable hurt, unlock something extraordinary? A path I had never dreamed of before? That night, I discovered something bizarre. As I searched for answers online, I stumbled across whispers of an underground community promising transformation miracles in exchange for pain. It felt silly, even dangerous. But what if it could help my daughter? The promise of wealth, health, happiness. Could I dare to hope? Days turned into weeks. I immersed myself in this strange world, finding names and figures I never knew existed. It consumed my thoughts. Each night, I lay awake, my heart racing at the idea of risking it all for her sake, questioning if hope was worth the gamble. What was I willing to sacrifice? Then came that fateful night. A nameless man reached out to me, his words cryptic yet inviting. "Your daughter's pain can lead her to an unimaginable fortune," he said. It made me tremble. Could this be a trap? Or the key to our salvation? What if I was on the brink of everything changing for us? My heart raced. I felt hope flickering, but doubt surged alongside it. I stood at the edge of something big, something unknown. Should I dive into this murky water, risking everything for a shimmer of redemption? Or should I protect my daughter from the world's darkness, even if it meant we remained trapped in our own? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. A chill swept through our small apartment as October turned into November. The days grew shorter, and with each passing sunset, it felt like time was slipping through my fingers. Lisa sat on the living room floor, assembling a jigsaw puzzle. The pieces, bright and colorful, contrasted starkly with the gray shadows that draped around us. I watched her, kneeling nearby, desperately trying to inject some brightness into our shared space. Despite her attempt to occupy her mind, I could see the flicker of anxiety reignite behind her eyes, a silent reminder that the comfort of distraction was fleeting. I pushed aside the weight of my own fears, focusing on the intricate patterns forming beneath her fingertips. As she pressed two pieces together, a rare smile broke free, illuminating her face, a fragile moment of joy. My heart soared at its beauty, only to plummet with the understanding that it was just a moment, and the storm loomed on the horizon. That evening, after Lisa drifted into sleep, the night stretched out before me like an endless chasm. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the laptop that seemed to glow ominously in the dark. The man's message weighed heavily in my thoughts. Your daughter's pain can lead her to an unimaginable fortune. His words were both a siren song and a deep dive into treacherous waters. What had I found myself mulling over? The underground network whispered of sacrifices, of lost pieces of oneself in exchange for a greater outcome, fortune and freedom. Was it possible that the threads of my daughter's anguish intertwined with something larger? I felt a surge of desperation. I longed for her to laugh freely again, to run without the added weights of fear and dread. But at what cost? I dug deeper into the rabbit hole, researching others who had found solutions in unexpected places, people glowing with newfound vibrancy, flaunting their stories of triumph. Each tale only deepened my internal conflict. Were they genuine, or simply victims of false hopes? It was challenging enough to decipher the truth behind a single smile. How could I navigate a world where dreams could be bought or sold? Just as I was about to drown in the tide of my thoughts, a soft knock broke the stillness. It was Maria, my elderly neighbor. She was a kind soul who had wandered into my life with simple chats and shared pastries. "I brought you some cookies," she said, her eyes wrinkled with warmth. "And I thought you might like to talk. You seem a bit lost lately." I took the cookies gratefully, my heart swelling at her kindness as I settled into one of the worn chairs at the table. Through her gentle inquiries, Maria helped me unspool the tangled threads of my fear and anguish, and for the first time in weeks, I felt understood, if only for a moment. She listened patiently, and when I mentioned Lisa's struggles, her expression shifted. "Kids feel so much more than we know," she said thoughtfully. "But there's always hope. Sometimes it comes from unexpected corners." I felt a strange sense of safety in her presence. She didn't judge my thoughts or my plans, nor did she dismiss my fears as trivial. The night wore on as we shared stories, and with every laugh, I gathered strength. The warmth of human connection, a simple kindness that was a light inside the darkness that surrounded our lives. When Maria finally left, I felt a small glimmer of hope igniting within me. Perhaps there was a way to navigate this path after all. Perhaps kindness could serve as a guiding star. But the next morning, I was jolted out of my newfound peace. I opened my phone to find a message from the man who had reached out to me, a video link titled, "The Price of Pain." My chest tightened as I clicked it, my stomach churning with apprehension. The screen came to life, showing faces desperate, hollow, pleading for help while speaking of sacrifice, loss, and potential outcomes that felt more chilling than promising. As I watched, a familiar face popped up amongst them, a child, no older than Lisa, swallowed by shadows. My pulse quickened as I recognized her. It couldn't be. Panic seized me as I dug deeper into the comments section. The girl's name jumped out like a beacon of warning: Amelia. She was once a classmate, a little girl with laughter as bright as the sun. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. "Mom!" I heard Lisa's voice calling from the other room, cutting through the suffocating realization. I couldn't let her see the fear etched on my face, the growing dread that threatened to pull me under. I hurriedly covered the screen with my hand, grasping at the edges of my sanity. But it was too late. The decision, the promise, it was all becoming tangled in revelations I had never anticipated. As I took a deep breath, the weight of my responsibility fell heavy on my chest. I must protect Lisa from this world. From pain, from promise, and from whatever darkness it loomed. I wouldn't allow her to become another face in that unforgiving crowd. But the more I fought against it, the greater the pull seemed to become. Would I lose her to despair or to something even darker? As the sun rose, casting shadows across the walls, I stood at a crossroads that held no clear answers, only the echoing question of what I would be willing to do to keep her safe. And in that moment of despair, I promised myself I would not stop searching for the light, even if I had to walk further into the darkness to find it. The sun had barely risen, yet I found myself pacing the living room, the weight of the revelations from last night pushing against my chest like an unyielding vice. Lisa was still asleep, but I couldn't shake the chilling image of Amelia's hollow eyes from my mind. It felt like a spectral warning, urging me to pull my daughter back from the precipice of something I couldn't begin to understand. I seized the morning routine as a distraction, pouring cereal into a bowl, the sound of scraping against porcelain barely audible over the rush of my thoughts. Every clink of the spoon against the edge felt ominous, as if each note of the symphony of a mundane morning was tainted by the miraculous yet terrifying reality that lay beneath it. I set the bowl of cereal in front of Lisa. Her eyes blinked open slowly, still heavy with sleep. Rubbing them, she managed a sleepy smile that punctured the fog of my anxiety. She looked so innocent, oblivious to the turmoil swirling around us. For a fleeting moment, I marveled at her resilience, the way her laughter buoyed my spirit despite the crushing weight of the world outside our door. "Can we do the puzzle today?" she asked, her voice scratchy but hopeful, an anchor pulling me away from the depths of my concerns, if only for a moment. "Of course," I responded, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. "What do you think we'll complete today? The sky or the mountains?" As she considered, pondering the possibilities with her intense furrowed brow, I felt a fleeting sense of normalcy. Could the simple act of piecing together the vibrant scenes offer us solace? As the hours unfolded, Lisa's laughter resonated through the living room, wrapping around me like a warm blanket. Each piece found and connected seemed to add one more layer of hope against the looming darkness I had unearthed. The morning slipped past in a gentle haze, a rarity in our fractured lives. Just as we began to make headway, my phone buzzed again. With a different type of anxiety blooming, I hesitated before gripping it, the screen illuminating not just the room, but the riptides of my fears. I recognized the number Maria. Her kindness became a flicker of light in the chaos I was navigating. "Hello?" I answered, managing a semblance of calm. "Good morning. I hope I'm not disturbing you. I was wondering if you and Lisa would like to join me at the park today. There's a fair going on, and they're having games and yummy treats," she chirped, her excitement contagious. I instinctively glanced at Lisa, who was dancing in place, her eyes wide with anticipation. A whirl of uncertainty coiled in my stomach. It was a blessing to receive an invitation, an opportunity for distraction, yet my mind flashed to the gulf of darkness surrounding our lives. Could I let her feel joy when I felt haunted? "Sure, that sounds lovely," I replied, swallowing the knot in my throat, hoping I wasn't lying to my daughter or myself. Maria was a source of light, and to refuse her kindness felt like rejecting a lifeline thrown just when I needed it. As we arrived at the park, the air shimmered with laughter and joy, sights bursting with colors that stole the breath from my lungs. Lisa dashed ahead, her laughter mixing with the distant sounds of music. Watching her weave between the stalls, I felt another wave of warmth wash over me, accompanied by the tightening in my chest. Every moment of joy was shadowed by the growing intent to shield her from the darkness lurking nearby. I meandered through the fairgrounds, allowing Maria's tales of her own childhood antics to wash over me. There was a comfort in her voice, an acceptance of imperfection that reminded me we were never meant to be alone in our battles. I wanted to open up about last night's discoveries, the video, the fear gripping my heart, yet the sunshine brightening the park felt so sweet, shielding me from the bitterness threatening to spoil it. Just as I began to loosen up, enjoying the simplicity of the moment, I spotted an unexpected figure, a woman with flowing blonde hair, leaning against a tree, her eyes scanning the crowd. She wore a bittersweet smile that sent an inexplicable sense of recognition rippling through me. There was something eerily familiar about her, yet I couldn't place it. "Mom?" Lisa tugged on my sleeve, breaking my focus. "Can we go on the Ferris wheel? Please?" "Of course," I replied, trying to shake the feeling of unease blanketing my thoughts. As we stepped into the colorful carriage, I tried to find comfort in the gentle rocking. The world around us expanded, allowing Lisa to witness the beauty stretching before her. Giddy with excitement, she pointed at everything below, her joy infectious. But as we reached the top, a cold breeze brushed past me, and I stole another glance at the woman below the tree. She was looking directly at me now, an intensity in her gaze that froze the breath in my throat. My heart raced. Who was she? Why did it feel as if I were being pulled into a web of connections I had yet to comprehend? The moment stretched infinitely, the world below seeming distant and muddled, until our carriage began to descend, jolting me from the haze. We landed back on solid ground, but the unease lingered like a shadow. The fair buzzed with light, but worry settled into the corners of my heart. As Lisa rushed off to chase a balloon, I felt a tugging sensation, the sensation of being watched. The woman had vanished, as if she were a piece of a fleeting puzzle. The unsettling emptiness echoed the fear that had awakened earlier that day, and just as I contemplated approaching Maria for comfort, my phone buzzed once more in my pocket. The screen illuminated a new message, the sender simply marked as unknown. My stomach knotted as I opened it, a single sentence flashing before me: "I know where she is." In that moment, as the echoes of my daughter's laughter faded into the periphery, the world came crashing down, and the path ahead transformed into a labyrinth of shadows. I stood on the brink of uncertainty, my heart caught between the desperate longing to protect Lisa and the haunting truth of what was unfolding around us. The air was thick with a suffocating blend of sweetness from the cotton candy stalls and the stench of fear waking up from deep within me. I looked at Lisa, bounding off towards a game booth, her laughter like sunlight piercing through the clouds, yet the message from the unknown sender hung over me like a storm about to break. "Mom! Look!" she exclaimed, clutching a teddy bear she had won. The sight of her bright eyes beaming with joy was a fragile lifeboat amidst the tumultuous sea of dread inside me. I couldn't let her see my fear, not now. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than a natural expression of joy. "That's amazing, sweetheart!" I called, forcing the enthusiasm from deep within. As she ran off to show Maria her prize, I remained rooted in place, wrestling with my thoughts. The message should have felt threatening, but in the pit of my stomach, it ignited a flicker of something else. Could it be hope? What if they truly knew something that could bring Amelia back? My thoughts spiraled. The torment of the unknown danced around me, taunting my wish for clarity while slowly suffocating my resolve. I couldn't shake the eerie feeling. My eyes darted around searching for the mysterious woman with the blonde hair, desperate for a sign that could clarify the storm brewing in my mind. My senses buzzed, keenly aware of the throngs of people, yet feeling altogether isolated, as if the world around me was muted. The pulsating music from the fairground ebbed and flowed like a tidal wave crashing into the rocky shore. It was both beautiful and chaotic. I sought refuge by the food stalls, trying to drown the uncertainty with the vibrant chaos surrounding me. Just then, as if the universe conspired to lift my mood, Maria approached with an ice cream cone in hand, its colors bright against the murky backdrop of my thoughts. "Here, I got one for you too. It's my way of bribing you to explore the rest of the fair with me." I laughed lightly, taking a taste of the sweet, cool chocolate that melted on my tongue. It was a brief reminder of life's simple pleasures, yet it didn't quite penetrate the shadows heavy on my heart. "You really didn't have to," I insisted, but already I could taste the relief washing over me. "Oh, but I wanted to. And you guys need a break. Want to try the ring toss next?" She glanced over at Lisa, who was eagerly chatting with another child. A break would be nice, but I hesitated. "It's okay to step away for a moment, you know. You deserve that too." She studied me carefully, concern shadowing her genuine smile. At that moment, I felt a rush of gratitude towards her. Here was a friend holding space for me, and for Lisa. I realized I could allow myself a moment of respite from the weight pressing against my chest. A small wave of vindication hit me. Perhaps I could save Lisa's childhood joy from the impending darkness outside our fairy tale bubble. "Okay, let us do it. Ring toss it is," I exclaimed, trying to convince my heart that we would be okay. We strolled over, Lisa in the lead. "Wow! Look at all the prizes!" she said, her gaze as wide as the horizon. For the first time that day, smiles broke through my cautious demeanor. I joined in the cheerful banter, clapping at Lisa's attempts as she aimed for the rings. The atmosphere felt almost electric. Surrounded by laughter, the tension seemed to loosen. Then, just as we were about to move to the next booth, my phone vibrated again. This time, it was Carla, my sister. My heart jumped. I hadn't spoken to her in weeks. "Hey! I just got your message. Is everything okay?" The knots in my stomach tightened further. "Not really," I confessed, ducking my head as Maria and Lisa exchanged excited chatter. "But can we talk later?" "Sure, but listen, something has been bothering me," Carla started, and I could feel her hesitance biting at my gut. Those rumors about Amelia, there's something deeper, something people are saying that you need to know. My breath caught in my throat. What do you mean? They're saying it's connected to money. Wealthy families, you know? Just be careful who you trust. An icy chill swept through me, hardening my heart. Instead of lifting me, her words slashed deeper, wrapping my mind in a fog of fear. The fun atmosphere of the fair faded, spiraling into a widening chasm of unease. Yes, I'll be careful, I murmured, though part of me wanted to scream for answers. Call me later. I love you, she said, and the warmth of her words settled like a blanket over the gnawing fear. As I hung up, something shifted within me. The innocence of our day began to fray at the edges, the laughter around me mixed with the tendrils of a coming storm. I felt Lisa's small hands slip into mine, her eyes shining with delight, oblivious to the danger swirling just outside our sanctuary. But at that moment, as I looked into her radiant face, a horrifying epiphany clawed its way to the forefront of my mind. Who could I trust? Before I could process the implications, that same woman with the blonde hair stepped into view again, now closer than ever, her eyes locked onto mine with a piercing intensity. My heart clenched tightly as a feeling of foreboding crawled up my spine. Mom, look! She looks like the fairy from the books! Lisa exclaimed, tugging my arm as I felt caught in a web of confusion. The woman took a step closer, her lips forming a small smile, but it wasn't mirthful. We need to talk, she said softly, a plea and a warning entwined in her words. The world around me tilted. Lisa looked up at me, waiting for my response, while the laughter and joy of the fair faded into the background, replaced by the weight of new fears, uncertainties, and a truth I sensed could fracture the fragile world I was desperate to protect. I never imagined my daughter's pain could lead to a millionaire's life-changing promise. The moment hung suspended in time. Lisa, eyes sparkling, shared her innocent wonderment, oblivious to the storm brewing within me. My heart raced, the carnival's vibrant colors dulling into shades of gray. The woman's presence was not merely a coincidence. It was a thunderclap, echoing a truth I was not prepared to face. She took another step closer, her blonde hair catching the bright lights of the fair, framing her face in an almost ethereal glow. But beneath that warm light, I sensed an undercurrent of urgency, desperation almost, threaded with a hint of sorrow. We need to talk, she repeated, her voice steady as a taut wire ready to snap. I glanced down at Lisa, her joy juxtaposed against the turmoil raging within me. The ring-tossed booths stood forgotten, the laughter of the crowd receded like a tide, leaving me isolated, adrift in uncertainty. Can we talk later? I asked, panic tightening my chest. Instead of answering, the woman looked past me. It's not safe here, she said, her gaze flickering with unease, and just like that, the air grew heavier. Mom? Lisa's slight voice broke through the suffocating silence, worry creeping into her brows as she observed my tension. Who is she? In that heartbeat, I faced an unspeakable choice to reveal the chilling truth or shield her from the chaos creeping closer. Protectiveness surged through me, drowning out reason. Just a friend, sweetheart. Let us go get some cotton candy. I attempted, infusing my tone with warmth, though my insides felt like ice. The woman took another step forward, her resolve unnerving. I'm not your enemy. I have information about Amelia. You have to listen to me. It's urgent. The name felt like a dagger twisted in my heart. What do you know? Who sent you? The words escaped me before I could assess their weight. She hesitated, weighing her words. I was close to her before everything happened. They want to silence the truth. You need to understand why it's dangerous. Lisa tugged at my hand, confusion painting her features. I was torn between my instinct to protect and my yearning for answers, questions swirling like autumn leaves in a gust of wind. Can we talk privately? I shifted my gaze to the crowd, the throngs of laughter and joy feeling like a distant reality. Yes, but quickly, she urged with an intensity that felt piercing. There are eyes everywhere. Anxiety clawed at my throat as we stepped away from the festive chaos, retreating towards a quieter corner near the old carousel, where the mechanical horses steered in endless circles, their painted smiles almost mocking in the face of my dread. With a glance back to ensure Lisa was distracted, my focus returned to the woman. "You're telling me you knew Amelia? How? What has happened?" Her expression softened as if the memory was both a fond tether and a heavy anchor. "Amelia was involved with things that ran deeper than we realized. There are people who would do anything to keep certain secrets buried." Each word was a shackle tightening around my heart. There was a truth hidden behind her revelation, yet every molecule of instinct screamed caution at me. What kind of secrets? Why would anyone want to hurt her? Because she was asking questions, digging into places where the light rarely reaches. "Powerful families aren't just wealthy. They're untouchable," she said, her eyes darting to the crowd. "You have to tread carefully or you'll end up lost in a darkness that takes more than what you hold dear." My mind raced as dread encroached. "And why are you telling me this? What do you gain?" "Because I owe her," she whispered, a tremor in her voice betraying her composure. "And I can't let another mother lose her child to the silence." Suddenly, a jolt of energy crackled through me. The woman was just another piece in this twisted puzzle. She was a potential ally, a lifeline. But the gnawing uncertainty remained. "And what can I do?" "I'm just trying to shield my daughter from pain," I implored, desperate for a flicker of hope amid the encroaching darkness. "Your daughter, she may hold the key." "They're watching her," the woman said, the weight of her statement crashing into me like a tidal wave, drowning my thoughts in fear. "You need to get her out of here." An icy wave swept through me at the implication that I might have unwittingly placed my precious Lisa in danger. The thought twisted like a dagger, and I looked back at her, carefree and joyous with a cotton candy in hand, a literal beacon of innocence oblivious to the looming shadows. Just then, a chilling commotion erupted from the other end of the fair. High-pitched shrieks shattered the merry facade. Instinctive parental fear gripped my heart. "I need to get her now." I gripped the woman's arm, urgency making my voice desperate. "You'll have to decide if you trust me," she urged, her eyes pleading. As I glanced back toward the joyful chaos that had turned briefly turbulent, a wave of warmth surged through me for that fleeting moment when laughter and innocence reigned. The joy, however, felt like it was waning, as we stood at the precipice of a decision, a realization dawning heavy on my heart. "We need to leave," I whispered, fear spiraling within me as the woman nodded, urgency blending with purpose. But deep down, an unsettling intuition gnawed at me. Had I truly grasped the extent of the danger, or had I just begun to skim the surface of a treacherous abyss? As we turned, instincts firing, the commotion escalated, and from the periphery, I caught sight of a hulking figure moving toward us, cloaked in shadow, seemingly gliding through the crowd. My gut clenched with dread as I sensed my worst fears crystallize before me. "Run," the woman urged, and as my heart raced in sync with my pounding pulse, a shocking realization overwhelmed me. The labyrinth of lies was just beginning to unravel, and I was about to step into the darkest corners of their world. Frantically clutching Lisa's hand, I prepared to dive deeper into the storm, unaware of what truths still lay ahead. The whirlwind of voices and laughter turned into a distant echo as we moved deeper into the shadows of the fairgrounds. Each step felt engineered by fate, our hearts pounding in synchrony with an impending calamity. Lisa, oblivious to the gravity of our flight, delighted in the sugary sweetness of her cotton candy, savoring each sticky bite. My every instinct screamed to shield her from danger, while I waded through a torrent of uncertainty. "Mom, where are we going?" Lisa looked up at me, her bright eyes clouded with confusion. A fissure of doubt cracked open within me, a silent plea for clarity I couldn't provide. "There's something I need to do, but I promise we'll be okay," I managed, injecting a feeble sense of reassurance into my voice that felt hollow against the tidal wave of panic surging through me. The woman led us through a narrow, winding path flanked by vividly painted booths now dimming under the weight of twilight. Her previous urgency had morphed into something serpentine, winding through every crevice of my thoughts. Each glance over her shoulder shot a bolt of raw fear through my veins. The hulking figure loomed in my mind, an ominous specter I could not shake off. The woman halted abruptly at a dead end, a tangled mass of rides and fog machines, their flickering lights creating a surreal tableau that seemed to pulsate around us. "We need to talk," she insisted, her voice lower but tinged with a fierce edge. It was a command draped in trepidation, as if the shadows themselves were listening. "Talk about what?" I asked, my heart thudding in my chest. "Why do you think I'll trust you? You're still a stranger, someone just spinning tales." Yet, in the dim light reflecting off her fearful eyes, I caught a glimmer of sincerity that tugged at the tethers of my skepticism. "Because this is real," she burst out, her vulnerability breaking through her facade. "You might think I'm just some crazy woman at a carnival, but I was Amelia's friend. I saw the things she was part of. I know there's something bigger at play, and your daughter," she hesitated, swallowing back a rush of emotion. "Your daughter is much more than you realize." The weight of her words pressed down on me, throttling my breath. Lisa's innocent laughter, a melody of childhood suspended in time, felt like a distant past. The truth revealed had shifted everything. I suddenly felt perilously close to the gravitational pull of a reality I had desperately tried to evade. "More?" My voice caught, a lingering whisper against the hum of chaos behind us. "What do you mean?" she asked. "More?" "Amelia wanted to expose corruption in the system. She believed Lisa might have faced hidden dangers, something they never meant for her to see," the woman explained, her tone grave like sand slipping through an hourglass. "We played in the same circle, she left clues. Lisa's presence, the moniker of innocence, of trust, her very existence could draw those wrong kinds of attention." The implication was staggering, a damning anchor to my heart that weighed heavier than sorrow. "You're scaring me," I confessed, feeling my throat tighten. "What do you expect me to do? My entire reason for being is to protect her from pain." The woman stepped closer, urgency etched in her every feature. "Then we have to act. They'll all come for you if they learn Lisa is integral to what Amelia discovered. Trust me, I know how they think." Her voice wavered slightly, the vulnerability layering her words contrasting sharply with her fierce determination. Suddenly, from the shadows, a ripple of movement caught my eye. The hulking figure emerged again, unmistakable and unnervingly familiar, someone from the past I'd hoped to forget but whose name felt like poison on my tongue. It was Miguel, the very face of my anguish, the shadow that had haunted my memories. "Stay here!" I hissed at the woman, who had momentarily captured my attention, urging her to keep Lisa behind the veil of the rides. My instincts propelled me into motion, adrenaline igniting a primal response. As I stepped out from our concealment, my heart lurched into my throat at the confrontation looming before me. "Miguel, what are you doing here?" I demanded, fury mingling with the dread sinking deep into my gut. His presence twisted like a knife, reminding me of the chaos we had endured, a life where trust had been a fragile glass ornament, cracked and shattered. "Looking for you," he replied, his expression inscrutable but laced with an underlying tension. "You shouldn't be here. It's not safe." Behind him, I could sense the mountains of deep-rooted secrets and untold falsities swirling like smoke. The carnival facade felt all too real against the backdrop of our broken past. "Not safe? Or not safe for you?" I countered, fatigue weighing down my words. "I'm done running, Miguel. I've got a daughter to protect, and I don't need your help." "Is that what you think?" He stepped closer, his voice low, urgency threading through his tone. "You're walking a path where the darkness reigns, and if you continue blindly, it won't just be you who suffers." Each word rolled off his lips with a bitter truth, vibrating with thoughts I'd worked tirelessly to drown. Our fractured history clung like debris, wrapping around us both. Just as I was about to respond, Lisa peeked out from behind the rides, her bright eyes wide with innocent curiosity. "Mom, who's that?" The lightning bolt of realization sparked through me. My child was caught in a tempest of secrecy and danger. The weight of the world pinned me between a decision pressuring my heart, to stand and face the ghosts of my past or to shield her from truths I could barely comprehend. "Lisa, sweetheart, come here." My voice trembled, breaking against the tumult of dread. Everything that had once felt safe shattered like glass. With Miguel's eyes fixed on me, a warning flashing in their depths, and the woman watching with urgency brewing under her skin, I was at a precipice, one that could lead either to answers or larger shadows. The path to truth was dangerously intertwined with the cost of our safety. As I reached my hand out to Lisa, feeling the warmth of her small palm, I felt history weighing upon me, spiraling to the surface just as secrets buried beneath the pulsating night began to unfurl. The stakes had risen, and I was on the cusp of a revelation that promised to shatter even the strongest bonds, thrusting us further into the heart of the darkness. "Trust me, I'll protect you," I promised, though I wondered if this was one promise I could keep, teetering on the brink of secrets yet untold. I had faced darkness before, but the depths of this treachery began to unfold, and I felt more lost than ever as we stood in limbo, teetering on the edge of fate. The festival lights flickered like anxious fireflies, casting elongated shadows across the asphalt as the sound of laughter slowly faded into the backdrop of our unfolding drama. My heart raced, thoughts swirling with the enormity of what lay ahead as I grasped Lisa's hand tightly, drawing her away from the specter of Miguel and the truth that threatened our fragile world. "Mom?" Lisa's voice broke through my spiraling thoughts, innocent and trusting as always. "Is everything okay?" I forced a smile, one wrought with pain and uncertainty. "Yes, sweetheart, just a little adventure. Stay close to me." Her small fingers squeezed mine, a lifeline that anchored me amid the rising tide of chaos. A fleeting thought flickered through my mind. Who was I protecting her from, Miguel, the woman, or the hidden darkness that loomed ever closer? "Why don't we go see that Ferris wheel?" Lisa suggested, her eyes sparkling with excitement. The vibrant colors and joyous sounds of the carnival swirled around us, yet they felt like an illusion shrouded against a backdrop of our reality. "All right," I replied quietly, grateful for the distraction, yet aware of the fact that while she sought adventure, I was chasing shadows that could consume us both. We meandered through the labyrinth of booths, my heart pounding with every unfamiliar face, every unspoken word that fell too heavily upon my shoulders. Miguel's presence clung to the air as I struggled to tune my focus toward Lisa's laughter breaking through the tension. As we approached the Ferris wheel, a distant part of me longed for simpler times, moments untouched by the thorns of hardship. "Can we ride it, Mom? Please?" Lisa urged, her tiny face lit up with hope. I hesitated for longer than I intended, grappling with my fear and the longing to preserve her unspoiled innocence. "Okay, just one ride," I finally conceded, my resolve softened by her infectious enthusiasm. After buying our tickets, we joined the line, the steady rhythm of the carnival music swirling around us like a cocoon. I held her hand, stealing glances at the silhouette of the woman Sophia. I recalled her name watching us from a distance, her brows knotted with concern. A new wave of protection surged inside me. I wouldn't allow the unknown to snatch away Lisa's joy. As the Ferris wheel creaked and climbed higher, I felt myself letting go of the anxiety, if only for a moment. Lisa squealed with delight, her carefree joy lifting part of the weight I had been carrying like a secret burden. Looking at her, I was reminded of all the reasons I fought, all the ways I had learned to guard my heart before everything shifted. When we reached the top, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. With the distance from the ground below, it seemed the dangers of our world were nothing more than shadows below us, like clouds cradling the peaks of our own struggles. But moments later, the reality came crashing back, a bolt of awareness reigniting the space between the lights. Suddenly, Lisa's laughter was drowned out by the clamor of voices that felt too close. I turned, scanning the carnival grounds below, my heart sinking as I spotted a group of men, their posture rigid and intent, eyes scanning the crowd with a predatory focus. A familiar chill coursed through me, the cold tendrils of dread intertwining with my thoughts. Who were they, and what did they want? "Mom, look at the lights." Lisa turned her gaze to the display below, oblivious to the tightening knots of fear wreaking havoc within me. "Yeah, beautiful, right?" I forced a smile, but even the facade felt heavy. What was beautiful about a playground for darkness? I cursed myself for letting my guard down, even for a fleeting moment. The ride suddenly stopped, swinging slightly at the peak, and I could feel the earth beneath me shift with uncertainty. I caught a glimpse of Sophia pushing her way through the crowd, her eyes locked on the men. In that moment, clarity struck like lightning, slicing through the chaos of my mind. Lisa wasn't just a target. She was the key to unraveling something profoundly sinister. "We have to go," I said urgently, my heart racing even faster. I gripped the metal railing tightly, my hand inches away from Lisa's cheek. "Now." "Okay, let's hurry." She beamed, completely unaware of the urgency seeping through my veins. The ride jolted as it made its way back down, the distraught feeling in the pit of my stomach growing as I urged us both to at least remain composed. Just as our feet touched the ground, I turned, searching for Sophia. "We need to find her." "Those men," my voice trailed off as panic seeped through the corners of my heart. But before I could take a step, one of the men broke from the group with a purpose, their figure cutting a stark contrast to the joyous atmosphere. "There you are!" he called out, his voice slicing through the crowd. His eyes locked onto Lisa, a hungry glint reflecting the foul intent that rippled through the air. I instantly felt the blood drain from my face, the realization amplifying my fear to a thunderous sensation echoing through my chest. Without thinking, I turned to Lisa, pulling her toward me protectively. "Stay close, sweetheart," I whispered urgently, thrusting her behind my back, ready to face whatever storm was barreling toward us. We had danced long enough with danger. The man approached with a disconcerting swagger, every measured step imbued with threat as my resolve solidified around Lisa. "You don't want to be here, little girl," he said, his smile grotesque against the carnival lights. "But you're exactly where you need to be." I felt Lisa's small hand clutching mine tightly. "Mom, I'm scared," she murmured, her voice trembling. The reality of the moment hung thick, and I could scarcely tell her the truth. Protection had morphed into an illusion that whirled around us. "Not as scared as you should be," the man replied, his tone mocking, extending the tension that crackled in the air. My instincts roared in protest, straining against the odds, while dark truths loomed closer, threatening to unravel everything I held dear. "Leave us alone," I snapped, unable to keep the tremor from my voice. But my anxiety was drowned out by the heart-pounding realization that in this critical moment, everything I feared could come to pass. I was teetering on the brink, the cliff an unknown abyss. The crowd swirled around us, unaware of the nightmare threading through the air like smoke. I stepped forward, placing myself between the man and Lisa, fully aware of the chain reaction poised to erupt. As the shadows threatened to swallow us whole, an unexpected voice pierced through the tension. "Let them go!" Sophia waded into the chaos, determination blazing in her gaze, a symbol of strength against the lurking darkness. But as she steadied herself to confront the man, the world felt more precarious than ever. The brewing storm of conflict was about to break wide open, and in the very eye of the tempest, I couldn't shake the notion that our lives had just pivoted into realms we hadn't dared to tread. And just as I braced for the fallout, I felt the ground shift beneath us like sandcastles being washed away, a revelation flickering in my mind, a truth hidden beneath layers of pain, corruption, and chaos. The realization that the ties that bound our pasts could either unshackle us or keep us enslaved. The moments spiraled toward chaos, leaving my heart pounding in rhythm with the carnival music, yet in that surge of uncertainty, I sensed the depth of a promise being forged, a promise that would change everything, for better or worse. And as I looked into Lisa's wide eyes filled with fear but also with unyielding trust, I whispered a vow to give everything, even if the world around us continued to unravel. This dance with fate was only just beginning, and the clock was ticking. The air buzzed thick with tension as Sophia stepped into the fray, a fierce protector amid this gathering storm. Her presence, though filled with determination, only underscored the desperation of our situation. The man faced her, an ugly smirk lingering on his lips as the carnival noise swirled around us, a cacophony of laughter and music that felt eerily misplaced against the unfolding confrontation. "Do you think you can stop me?" he asked, a mocking lilt cutting through the jovial atmosphere. I wanted to scream at him to stay away from Lisa, to run and shield her from the realities of this brutal clash, but courage had turned heavy like lead in my chest. "Leave them alone!" Sophia's voice cracked, but her resolve remained unshakable. She moved closer, her body language defiant, but to me, her bravery felt like a thin veil over the fear that loomed larger than life between us. while I prepared for the worst, a flicker of hope ignited within me the small possibility that we could escape this nightmare. I glanced at Lisa, her small frame hidden behind me, eyes wide and shimmering with a mix of innocence and fear. It was a jarring reminder that the monstrous dangers that haunted me could rear their heads in the broad light of an innocent carnival. "Get behind me, Lisa," I urged, squeezing her hand a little tighter. I was painfully aware that I was failing in my role as a mother, prioritizing her safety over facing the darkness head-on. But the young frightened girl I protected was the embodiment of my fight, the reason I had to keep pressing forward. The man let out a low, disdainful laugh, surveying us with an arrogance that turned my stomach. "You think you can hide her forever? This is just the beginning." "Get out," Sophia replied, her voice steady despite the chaos. She stood her ground, brilliant and fierce like a lighthouse amid stormy seas. But her words felt weak, insufficient against the malevolence emanating from the stranger. "Why don't you make me?" I heard a voice hiss from the back of the group. It was one of the other men, eyes glimmering with malice, inching closer like a predator ready to pounce. My breath itched, the claustrophobia of the carnival crowd pressing in on me. We were trapped, even in the midst of feasting joy and colorful lights. A flicker of uncertainty crossed Sophia's face, the brief crack of a dam threatening to break. I couldn't let fear fester. It could easily turn into paralysis, rendering us helpless. "Stay together," I shouted, and as I did, minds aligned briefly, echoes of our past struggles reverberating within us. Then, without warning, Lisa broke free from behind me, stepping forward with unexpected bravery. "Leave my mom alone!" she shouted, her voice small but imbued with a child's fierce resolve. The man turned, startled for a fleeting second, and in that moment, I felt an overwhelming wave of protectiveness swell within me. My heart cried out, warning her of the dangers that lurked in the shadows beyond the bright lights. "Leave her out of this!" I shouted, my voice cracking under the weight of the looming chaos. I was prepared to do anything, even face the storm head-on if it meant shielding my daughter from harm. The room felt like it was spinning as I edged closer to her, preparing to carve out a safe haven from the threatening chaos. But the man only chuckled, both amused and intrigued by Lisa's response. "What is this? A little girl trying to protect her mom? How sweet!" The flippant tone snapped something within Sophia. She lunged forward, eyes blazing. "You don't know who you're messing with!" The stronger presence of her resolve poured out like a shield, shoving back against the darkness inching toward us. But even then, my heart felt heavy with doubt. Could she truly protect us, or were we just seconds away from calamity? As time slowed, the surrounding carnival transformed into a surreal tableau, laughter morphing into a cacophony of dread. "Enough of this charade," the man growled, the mirth disappearing from his eyes as he lunged forward. Instinct took over. I pushed Lisa behind me, trying to shield her from any violence brewing in the air. My body instinctively tensed, prepared to fight or fall as everything felt like it was collapsing inward. Just as the moment expanded into an unignorable abyss, lights began to flicker wildly as if the universe itself held its breath. In an instant, I heard a loud crash echoing from the amusement park's far side. A ride had malfunctioned, sending a shriek of joy-turned terror reverberating through the atmosphere. The harsh reality blinked like a strobe light, illuminating the fear on every face around us. People began to scatter, a wave of panic emanating from the ride as I caught movement from the corner of my eye. One of the men pulling out a phone, urgency stamped upon his face. My stomach twisted with dread. What was happening to us? Who were they, truly? And as I turned my gaze back to Lisa, her innocent eyes still searching mine, I felt the unrelenting weight of a cruel reality. Just when I thought I could shield her from the darkness had woven itself deeper into our lives. In that split second, something drastic shifted. I could feel the atmosphere constrict like a noose, and time pushed again against the surface, revealing the hidden ties that bound us all, lives intertwined in a conspiracy far greater than I had imagined. The glimmer of hope morphed into a new awareness, and in the midst of turmoil, I realized our reality had been painted in shades of gray long before tonight. The truth of our lives was bending, and no matter the outcome, The promises I'd woven around Lisa could not keep her safe forever. So as the crowd fell into disarray and the air thickened with confusion, I vowed to withstand this storm, no matter what it unleashed. But even as the tremors of fate began to shift beneath us, I felt a new emotion swirl within me, a fierce resolve that required darkness to birth light. Amid chaos, promises broke forth like dawn, revealing deeper truths hidden under layers of pain. But with every heartbeat, the knowledge gnawed at me that the scope of our fight loomed larger and darker than I had prepared for. And just as I began to realize that the battle was far from over, a shadow fell over us, a revelation waiting in the wings to step into the light. Then I heard a voice cut through the chaotic atmosphere, the words woven with urgency and desperation. "Mom! We have to go! Now!" But as we turned to flee into the shadows, uncertainty tightened its grip, whispering darkly of the promises yet unresolved and the burdens yet to bear. The ticking clock echoed in my mind, and I grasped Lisa's hand tightly, ready to face whatever awaited us next, knowing that the darkness was ready to engulf us one last time. As we clutched each other, pushing through the frenzied crowd, I felt the pulse of fear thumping in my ears. The carnival, once a place of joy adorned with vibrant colors and laughter, had twisted into a battlefield where our lives hung in the balance. The kaleidoscope of lights now only highlighted the shadows lurking in the corners of my mind. "Mom, we can't stay." They know. Lisa's panicked whisper yanked me back to the present, and my heart raced as I scanned the chaos around us. Sophia had momentarily held back the men, but I could see the fierce battle waging her will, burning bright but challenged by the dark energy of those intent on harm. "Get as far away as you can," Sophia shouted, her voice reverberating against the surrounding madness. I could see the determination etched into her face, but I also caught the flicker of her own concern for our safety, for our futures. "Come on," I urged Lisa, tugging her along as I felt a sense of urgency rising like a tide, desperate to escape. The laughter of children now sounded like twisted echoes of despair, reverberating in tune with the pounding of my heart. In the frantic rush, I caught glimpses of familiar faces fleetingly illuminated by carnival lights, a child laughing without a care, a couple sharing a kiss beneath a stream of twinkling lights. It all felt so far removed from our reality, which was shrinking around us. I couldn't help but wonder if this was what it felt like to lose everything, to watch life morph into a distant memory. As we tore through the crowd, I felt Lisa's small hands slipping in and out of my grasp. Our world was unraveling in slow motion, and just when I thought we could break free, I heard the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps behind us and knew they hadn't given up. "Keep running!" I shouted, pushing aside the jarring weight of despair crashing over us. As we turned a corner, the sound of laughter faded into a haunting echo, like the final notes from a shattered symphony. But then something unexpected happened. A young woman darted past us, her expression a mix of fear and determination. She intercepted the nearest man, shouting something I couldn't hear over the fading laughter and chaos, yet the tone in her voice rang clear, a desperate plea for help. In that brief moment, something inside me flickered. Could there still be kindness in this storm? Was the fight against the shadows bringing forth unexpected allies? "Mom!" Lisa's voice broke through my thoughts. I saw the glint of uncertainty in her eyes. "What if they catch us?" "Then we fight," I replied, knowing it was more than just physical strength we needed to prevail. It was determination, resilience, and a team, something we hadn't been able to build. Sure, I could fight for her. But could I unite others to stand against the encroaching darkness? Before I could answer my own question, the distant sound of sirens began to pierce through the carnival, mostly drowned by laughter. I felt both fear and exhilaration, a fraying thread of hope tugging at my heart as I caught sight of several park security officers rushing toward us. They likely hadn't realized that the threat remained, that darkness had woven its strands deeper than they knew. "Stay close." I pulled Lisa in tighter, navigating us toward the exit, adrenaline flooding my veins. We could be safe in the hands of those sworn to protect us, right? Or were we merely stepping into the eye of a much larger storm? Suddenly, a hand caught my shoulder from behind. I jolted, instinctively spinning, only to gaze into the frightened face of Sophia. They called for backup. "We have a moment," she said, her breath coming in quick bursts. I could see the desperation coiling around her determination, as if she dared to hope if only for a fleeting moment. "Do you think?" I started, uncertainty lingering in my throat like a sickening knot. What I feared most was yet unspoken. Would the officers truly save us or simply become another cog in the machinery of pain that enveloped us? But Sophia shook her head, forestalling my thoughts. "They want to know what is going on. We have to make them understand our urgency." As the sirens grew louder, so did the realization that this could either be our salvation or our downfall. All it took was one misunderstanding or a single moment of confusion for our fragile hopes to crash down around us. "Let us go," I urged, sensing the urgency in her eyes, and together we pushed forward into the gathering mass of officers arriving to investigate the chaos. However, just as we approached the nearest group, something struck me as odd, a silhouette among them standing gracefully apart, scanning the crowd. Suddenly it clicked. My heart sank, dread pouring through me like icy water. No, it can't be. The figure turned, and my worst fears crystallized into undeniable clarity. A familiar gaze met mine, reflecting a past long buried beneath layers of pain. "Mom!" Lisa's voice echoed as she tugged at me, but my mind was reeling, spinning in circles around the revelation that now stood before us, an unanticipated architect of our plight, a life-changing twist I had never seen coming. "Why are you here?" I breathed, the tremor in my voice barely containing the storm inside me. The world around us blurred, fading into insignificance as the looming shadows converged upon the truth of this moment. As fear settled heavy in my chest, I grasped for clarity amid the chaos, knowing abruptly that the bleeding paths of fate had just intertwined once more. The curtain was rising, revealing the enigmatic threads that bound us together in this terrifying tapestry woven by pain, choices, and unimaginable doubts. And just as the realization washed over me, I knew the storm was only beginning. The truth hit me like a torrent, tearing through the seams of my reality. There stood Carla, my sister, her presence a reminder of a past I thought I could bury under layers of protection for Lisa, a past steeped in betrayal, secrets, and a price I was unwilling to pay. My stomach churned, the edges of familiar anguish clawing their way back to the surface. "Why are you here?" I managed to choke out, my voice thick with a mix of anger and disbelief. It felt surreal, as if time had folded, bringing forth an echo from what I had always tried to cast aside. Carla shifted on her feet, guilt washing over her face, casting shadows deeper than any terror we faced. "Because I've been looking for you," she replied, her voice steady yet lined with apprehension. "You're in danger, and I'm trying to help." I took a tentative step forward, torn between wanting to accept her words and the instinctive urge to shield Lisa from the turmoil wrapped in her sister's promise. "Danger? Is that why they're here? This was your plan?" I spat, gesturing to the men whose dark motives swirled beneath the surface like predators in a silent pond. The laughter around us faded, replaced by muffled screams, igniting my protective instincts. "Listen, it wasn't me. I had no idea you'd be here," Carla pleaded, raising her hands in surrender. "I only discovered the truth about Amelia just before everything collapsed. They were watching you." My breath caught in my throat, her words forming a tangled web of misunderstanding and fear I had desperately tried to escape. "Mom, can we just go?" Lisa's small voice cracked, tugging at the spaces of my heart I desperately held together. At that moment, I felt torn, caught between the remnants of family ties and the desire to protect my daughter from this darkness creeping closer. "Stay behind me, sweetheart," I whispered, my heart a battlefield caught between Carla and Lisa. Carla was the sister I had known my entire life, yet her connection to this darkness now felt suffocating. "There's no time. If they realize who you are," Carla's eyes cut to the nearest group of men, their gazes resting ever closer like vultures. "We need to get you two out of here. Amelia's fate lies layered in blood, and they are here to erase anyone who interferes." "Who are you even working for?" I questioned, urgency threading through my voice. I couldn't let myself falter. My primary focus was on Lisa, the girl whose life hinged on hope, on innocence. Someone who wants to expose them. To end this, Carla replied, her eyes blazing with fervor. I caught a glimpse of the girl I once knew, the sister who had been clouded by bitterness but now appeared to be driven by a greater purpose. But doubt hung over us like a thick fog. At that moment, everything shifted, the fabric of our reality coiling like storm clouds above us. The shadows thickened, and the man who had taunted me stepped forward, a mocking grin stretched across his face. Time to decide whose side you're on, Carla. I would suggest you pick wisely. My heart raced, instincts thrumming like the carnival ride in the distance. Run, Lisa! I urged, ready to shield her from the swirling chaos. Mom, I don't want to leave you. Lisa's voice cracked, splitting my heart wide open. I turned, gently cupping her cheek, trying to infuse her with all the strength I possessed. You have to trust me. Run as far as you can, I commanded softly, nodding my resolve around the tender moments we had shared, the laughter that had become our armor. But just as I was about to shove her towards safety, Carla stepped forward, eyes blazing with an inner fire. You can't let them take you. They've been lying since Amelia went missing. They need us to do their dirty work. We can outsmart them. With every instinct screaming for us to run, the whispers of betrayal coiled around my heart. Facing the reality that Carla's trust had wavered felt like a betrayal of the past we had shared. I gripped Lisa tighter, unwilling to let her see the cracks forming at the edges of my faith in family, in choices we had made to steer clear of nightmares. Just then, amid the cacophony swirling around us, a piercing scream reverberated through the carnival grounds, a sound that cut sharper than the chaos threatening to devour us. Mom! Lisa cried, fear seeping into her voice, and I could see it reflected in her wide eyes, an abyss of uncertainty mirrored back at me. In that moment, everything rearranged like stars shifting in the sky. I drew a deep breath, the weight of my love clashing against the weight of betrayal as I realized what I needed to do. Carla! You could have stopped this from ever happening, I shot, disbelief threatening to fracture our bond even more. But I knew this wasn't just about our past. But I can't let you drag Lisa into your choices. With that, I turned to lead Lisa away, pouring every ounce of strength into my movements, and pulled her toward a narrow alley, our escape route amidst a carnival that had turned devilishly dark. Together, we can fight, Carla pleaded behind us, but just as I glanced back, the man lunged toward us. I knew that fear could either paralyze or galvanize us, but in that moment, absurdly, all I felt was a flicker of hope igniting within, the hope that we could weave through this chaos together, that I could combine the love of my daughter with the remnants of family loyalty to shield everything that mattered. Without another thought, I shouted, Will you help us fight? To save Lisa? Yes. Carla shouted, urgency matching the pulse in my heart as we clutched hands, the illumination of shared purpose finally forging between us, a promise woven in desperation. With the sirens wailing louder, the distant chaos could still be heard, but it faded as I turned back to face what was coming, resolve boiling within. Together, we were ready to confront whatever darkness loomed ahead. Let us fight together, I said, my voice unwavering, ready to birth light from the shadows as Carla stepped beside us, an unexpected alliance forged from desperation, ready to expose secrets cloaked in darkness, make choices that mattered, and protect a future for my daughter that would no longer be soaked in fear. And in that moment, with hands clasped tightly, we surged forward, driven by the promise of redemption and the unbreakable bond of a family's love. Together, I said, swallowing back the despair looming over us, feeling the weight of fear lift, even if just slightly. The shadows would not consume us, not today. My daughter's laughter would not fade into echoes of despair. That day would breathe rebirth. And as I gripped Lisa's hand, a wild surge of determination pulled me forward, fierce as the tides, only strengthened by the shadows of the past. Together, we could face the darkness head-on. With the sound of sirens in the distance, I whispered a promise to my daughter, knowing that every choice I had made led to this moment, a moment filled with hope, defiance, and the fight to reclaim what belonged to us. Together, we'll find our light, I promised as I stepped into the chaos, ready to rewrite our fate. And as the world shrank around us, I knew we would emerge, not unscathed, but reborn from the ashes of fear and pain. As we forged our way through the storm, I realized that our journey was only the beginning, a chapter filled with possibilities yet unwritten, and the weight of love that would carry us into the light. Together, Lisa echoed, the innocence of her voice cutting through the chaos, a beacon of all we had fought for, a promise that could ignite the fire of our resilience. Together, we would face the world, and in that moment, I felt the seal of promise, an unbreakable bond strong enough to rise above the shadows once and for all.